All right. Okay, it is 7 o'clock. I'd like to call our board meeting to order, our September 22nd board meeting to order. So if everyone please stand.
Mr. Kimmer?
Yes.
Mr. Smeltzer?
Yes.
And Mrs. Conrad Zingmeister is absent this evening.
Okay. Thank you, Mrs. Roberts. Roll call, please. I appreciate that. So that'll move us on then to the minutes. Motion to approve the minutes as attached. All board members had an opportunity to look at the past minutes of previous meeting.
So moved.
Okay, been moved by Mr. Smeltzer. Would there be a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mrs. Johns. Any discussion? Any discussion? Turn to the question. I turn to Mrs. Roberts for the roll call, please.
Mr. Smeltzer?
Yes.
Mrs. Johns? Yes. Mr. Hoffman?
Yes.
Mr. Kimmer?
Yes. Motion passed unanimous. 1.6, adjustments to the agenda. Mr. Bellval.
No adjustments at this time.
Okay, thank you, sir. Number 2, then information discussion. We'll move into 2.1 with the superintendent updates. Turn to Mr. Bellval, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Kimmer. It's been a busy couple of weeks since our last board meeting, and there's a lot of things happening in the district before our next board meeting, so I'll kind of touch on some of that stuff. But just to go through the agenda real quick, you'll see a leave of absence for Stephanie McCoy. That is a medical issue, and we want to make sure we keep her in our thoughts and prayers. She is doing as well as can be, but we're looking forward to having her back with us for the start of next school year. So would recommend we approve that when we get to it. You also see personal service supplemental contracts, and quite a few of those listed. The big thing that is there this evening are all of our dual enrollment supplementals. As we've talked about numerous times, we have dramatically increased the number of offerings of dual enrollment College Credit Plus at the high school. And it's when you sit back and look at all of the classes our kids can take at Fairfield Union High School and get college credit for them, it really is inspirational, makes you smile, and none of that would happen without the hard work and dedication of our staff. So really want to thank them and acknowledge them for the extra work they put into that, and not only teaching the class, but a lot goes into that to be approved to be an instructor. So we are appreciative of the staff and all that they have done. So just wanted to call that out. And then a list of volunteers, and again, we talk about it all the time, how vital volunteers are to all of our programs, and you know, they have to do all the things that paid coaches do, so they actually have to pay to volunteer. So we do appreciate them. And then you'll also see in the agenda, and I'll be sure, be glad to answer any questions when we get there. Purchase of weightlifting equipment for our advanced PE class. This is to allow us to have a weightlifting class in the high school so they don't have to walk to the stadium on a daily basis. And you know, everyone's well aware, especially when the weather gets bad, trying to walk from the high school to the stadium and back in inclement weather, it's really not conducive, plus you lose a lot of time. So we are excited to finally have that in the high school. We think it will help our student athletes. We also know, and I shared this with staff when we discussed this, we've heard from Lieutenant Governor Tressel, we've heard from Governor DeWine, we've heard from President Trump, a call for schools to increase physical education offerings in the schools to combat obesity and promote a healthy lifestyle. We're also hearing from potential future Governor Vivek Ramaswamy that he same thing. There is some legislation pending that could increase the requirements for physical education in schools. So as we've done historically, when we look at the landscape of education and see what is potentially coming, we try to get out in front of that, try to be very proactive instead of reactive to prepare for those things. And I think this meets that. Not only is it good for our kids, I think it's also going to meet some future requirements that are going to be placed on us. So overall, I think it's just a very good move. Any questions you have about that, I can certainly answer those when we get there as well. So tried to keep the agenda as light as possible with the forecast this evening. So again, as we get to any new items, would be happy to answer any questions you have as we get there. Around the district, this past weekend was just incredible. We had our alumni band night Friday night. 207 alumni were part of that, and then we marched 95 students in the high school band this year. So over 300 people on the field, pre-game, post-game, and it was just an incredible scene. And to see the stands as packed as they were, that was just amazing. Just a great night for the community. I think everyone had a great time. Football team pulled out a tight victory, so it really just made the entire night a success. Then Saturday night we transitioned to our Athletic Hall of Fame banquet, and congratulations to Brandon Lightnaker and Matt McPhail as they were inducted into the Hall of Fame. And again, just a special evening Saturday night, and it was great to see our Hall of Fame members come back to welcome the two new members. We're up to, I think it's numbers 83 and 84 in the Athletic Hall of Fame. So again, congratulations to those two guys, and thank you to Scott Harris and our Hall of Fame committee for putting together just a great evening. So that was good stuff as well. Coming up this Saturday, we will have our first ever band festival. We have 9 bands coming to campus on Saturday to compete in the festival. That will actually start at 5:30. I have 5 o'clock in my notes there, but they'll start at 5:30 and go throughout the evening. So we're really looking forward to that. Big thank you to our Alumni Association. They're really driving the train on this and sponsoring it, and have done all the legwork to put it together. So really happy about that, and looking forward to our band out there with all the other bands. So Saturday evening, that's going to be a great event on campus here. Then on October 11th, we will host the Mid-State League cross-country meet. So it'll be nice to show off our land lab to the Mid-State League schools, and they'll be able to see that facility and how special it is out there. So a lot of things going on. All those, either just happened or will happen before our next board meeting. So just wanted to get them on your radar there. We had approved our forestry team to go to the Big E Classic, and we are going to have that team at our October board meeting because they went out there and won the whole daggone thing. Finished first place. Just an amazing performance, and I'll let them give you the details, but the judges there, as the thing was ending, we're still talking about Fairfield Union and the performance of our forestry team. They were that good. So a huge tip of the cap to Judd Baker and also Hannah Penrose and Chris Turner. Hopefully, if Judd doesn't share it, I'll share the story at the next board meeting. But Chris Turner had taught the forestry team a little known trick with a penny that we were the only school at the Big E that knew how to do that trick, and really that impressed the judges. So I'll let them share that full story there, but it's a little cliffhanger for you. But yeah.
I'm sorry, do you know, like, this Big E, what's it called? How many
The
states?
entire East Coast. It's in Connecticut, just East Coast schools. And so it's pretty massive. It happens at the Connecticut State Fair. It's a big deal. we've gone to it in the past. I know Lauren Young took some teams to the Big E, and Christina took a team a few years ago, but I believe this is the first time we've won it all. So very, very impressive showing there, and kind of came in late in the day Friday, so I didn't have a chance to put it in my notes, but in November, we will have the National Honor Society officers at a board meeting, because Mrs. Toller and the National Honor Society are receiving a very prestigious award. They're one of only 10 schools in the state that will receive this service award, and it's all based off of our work with the Christmas shopping trip. So we'll have them in November to talk about the award that they earned, and then obviously right after that we'll actually be taking that trip in early December. So the timing there will be good. So looking forward to having those student groups at board meetings coming up soon. Wanted to call out, I had sent a note out to our booster groups. Mr. Roberts had addressed this several years ago with booster groups, and then in light of kind of the political climate in Ohio right now, and I'll just put it out there, my perception, the ongoing attack on public schools, the Attorney General's office holds the opinion, and we later adopted that into board policy, that school staff should not be executive members in booster groups. It does present a conflict of interest if, and I'll use this as an example, if a teacher is an executive member of a PTO group and they're voting on how to spend their funds on teachers, well, the teacher's voting on how to spend the funds on themselves, and that presents a conflict of interest. And so earlier this spring or fall, I sent a note out to all of our booster groups, stressing the Attorney General's opinion on this, and shared our board policy that staff members should not be members of the executive committees. And so just wanted to publicly thank our booster groups. They worked very quickly and are still in the process of working to clean up a few things. We had some teachers or not necessarily teachers, but staff members, any staff member that were in some positions of voting privileges. And so we're just getting that cleaned up, and just wanted to publicly thank our booster groups for all they do. These are all volunteers. They give of their time, and you hate making the process harder or making life more difficult for them, but you also want to make sure that you're following the guidance given by the Attorney General, because in an audit or some of those type of things, you don't want anyone to be placed in a bad situation. So I just wanted to publicly thank our booster groups for all they do and for being understanding of the guidance I sent out to them. And I think that's all I have for this evening. Any questions?
Okay, well, Mr. Bell, she'll appreciate the insight with all the updates.
I'll also say this real quick.
Yes.
Anyone watching at home, if we would happen to lose power, we will continue with the board meeting. We have emergency lighting here, but I don't know that we'll be able to continue to broadcast. Okay. So I just wanted to kind of put that out there, that the board meeting will continue should we lose power, but the broadcast might cut off.
Okay, thank you for passing that on publicly as well. So as the board meeting will continue. So thank you for the insight, very informative. All right, does move us on then to number 3, recognition of visitors, public comment. No one signed in, and consent agenda. So we'll move on to section 4, the consent agenda section. 4.1, to bring it to the board members' attention of the workshop conference there. All board members are aware. You see in front of you.
This is a conference Ms. Minosky has gone to in the past.
Okay. Minosky's going to attend this conference, you'll see. unless you have any questions with that, we'll move on to 4.2. Okay, all right, let's move on to 4.2 then, financial items. I'll turn to Mrs. Roberts, with financial items, please.
Okay, a few items this evening. First, excited that we have a few donations to the district, specifically to the Land Lab. So we have $100 from Lowell and Carolyn Fisher, $100 from Gordon and Susan Litt, and then $3,694 from Sally Groom for the Land Lab welcome sign. So very appreciative of that. Obviously that goes to good use especially after Senior Evening and Community Day. Very, very happy with this. So thank you too.
And Mrs. Roberts, will we be sending out a thank you? Okay.
Yep, we send out a thank you from the district to each around each donation.
Thank you. Thank you.
The second item this evening, this is standard practice just for services that happened prior to a PO. Anytime those are over $3,000, we do have to bring those to the board. So standard practice for this, but this is just one that we do need to bring this evening for approval. That is it.
Okay. Hey, any questions, Mrs. Roberts, with financial items? Okay, if not, I'll move on to 4.3 then, approval of the consent agenda. Motion to approve the consent agenda items as recommended by the superintendent and treasurer.
So moved.
Been moved by Mr. Hoffman. I'll second that. Any discussion? No discussion from the question. From Mrs. Roberts for the roll call of the board members.
Mr. Hoffman?
Yes.
Mr. Kimmer?
Yes.
Mrs. Johns? Yes. Mr. Smelter?
Yes.
Motion passed, unanimous. It's on section 5, the new business section, 5.1, a leave of absence. There is a motion to approve, motion on the floor to approve a leave of absence for Stephanie McCoy beginning November 6th, 2025 through the end of the 2025-2000 school year. And then Mr. Belvin touched on it a little bit earlier. Okay, it's been moved by Mrs. Johns. Would there be a second? Second by Mr. Smeltzer. Discussion. No discussion. Return to question. Return to Mrs. Roberts for the roll call, please.
Mrs. Johns? Yes. Mr. Smelter?
Yes.
Mr. Hoffman?
Yes.
Mr. Kimmer?
Yes, motion passed unanimous. 5.2, amendment to a contract. There's a motion to amend the start date for 1 year contract for Elena Patterson at Rushville Middle School tutor to start on September 3rd, 2025, tutor salary schedule, step 1.
She just secured her license.
She secured her license.
So she'd been working on a sub-license until she got the actual paperwork back from the state.
Okay.
And this was just the reason we're amending it is because we had already approved it in a previous board meeting. So this is just amending that start date to make sure that it lines up with how she's being paid.
Okay. Okay. It's clarification. Okay. Thank you. Thank you both for the comments.
So moved.
Been moved by Mr. Smeltzer. I'll second that. Any discussion? No discussion. Return the question. Return Mrs. Roberts for the roll call, please.
Mr. Smelter?
Yes.
Mr. Kimmer?
Yes.
Mr. Hoffman?
Yes.
Mrs. Johns? Yes.
Motion passed, unanimous. 5.3, personal service supplemental contracts. There's a motion to approve the personal service supplemental contracts as presented. You'll see that I think I looked there at 35. Yeah, there is a list of 35 personal service supplemental contracts. If you look down through there. Really, yes, good.
I move to approve.
Okay, been moved by Mr. Hoffman to approve. Would there be a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mrs. Johns. Discussion. No discussion. Turn the question. Turn Mrs. Roberts for the roll call, please.
Mr. Hoffman?
Yes.
Mrs. Johns? Yes. Mr. Kimmer?
Yes.
Mr. Smelter?
Yes.
Motion passed unanimous. 5.4, personal service supplemental contract. There is a motion to approve a personal service supplemental contract for Trent Johns as assistant varsity boys group 3, step 7.
So moved.
Been moved by Mr. Smelter, I'll second that. Discussion. No discussion, turn to question, turn to Mrs. Roberts for the roll call, please.
Mr. Smelter?
Yes.
Mr. Kimmer?
Yes.
Mr. Hoffman?
Yes.
Mrs. Johns?
Abstain.
Okay, motion passed. This is on then to 5.6, I'm sorry, 5.5, thank you. Moving to 5.5, volunteers. There's a motion to approve volunteers as presented. Board members see there's a list of 8 there, volunteers.
I would just like to just make a statement real quick on the personnel service contract and volunteers. I love to see the alumni come back and help out with their school, so that just continues me to that.
Yeah, we're excited. Even paid spot, Colin Woodside coming back to help basketball, and Lucas Thompson coming back, and Matt Smith, Ben Miller with wrestling. You're 100% correct, Mr. Smelter. I think that helps the current players understand the tradition, the expectations, the hard work that has gone into building the program. So, a point well made right there.
I'll second that, what Mr. Belleville said, comment well stated. Mr. Smeltzer, I know, with the personal service contract as well as this, what I thought to myself, what community people we have to step up and do what they're doing. So, well said. Okay, I entertain a motion to approve the volunteers as presented. Been moved by Mrs. Johns, I'll second that. Any discussion? No discussion? Turn to Mrs. Turn to question. Turn to Mrs. Roberts for the roll call, please.
Mrs. Johns?
Yes.
Mr. Kimmer?
Yes.
Mr. Hoffman?
Yes.
Mr. Smelter?
Yes.
Motion passed unanimous. 5.6, repairs to the boiler flues. There is a motion to approve Columbus Building Services Corporation to repair boiler flues at the high school and middle school at the cost of $65,645. That's what he's done.
Over the past, I know in my 9+ years, we've replaced all of the boilers at the high school and middle school. We didn't replace one boiler at the middle school, but it was never working from the day they opened the building until about a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, and CBSI got it working. So that one's only been running for 2 years, even though it's older. But the flues were all original to the buildings. 15, 16 years old or so, we're just seeing that they're failing and just need replaced.
Okay.
And this was in our permanent improvement plan, so it has been planned and accounted for.
Thanks for the comments, Mr. Belleville, Mrs. Roberts. Board members, you see the 3 attachments there. Have an opportunity to look at those 3 attachments if you desire.
Move to approve.
Okay, it's been moved by Mr. Hoffman to approve Thomas Building Services to repair the building flues at the high school and middle school.
Second.
And second by Mr. Smeltzer. Discussion. No discussion. Turn to question. Turn to Mrs. Roberts for the roll call, please.
Mr. Hoffman?
Yes.
Mr. Smelter?
Yes.
Mrs. Johns?
Yes.
Mr. Kimmer?
Yes. Motion passed unanimous. 5.7, contract procurement checklist, weightlifting equipment for advanced physical education. There's a motion to approve the purchase of weightlifting equipment for advanced and physical education at the cost of $60,349.89.
Do we have, is there things that we have to do to that room to get it ready?
Yeah. Ms. McClure Spillers is removing items from her stuff out of the room. We did clear out a storage space for her, an additional storage space on top of the one she already has for those items. And then Matt Smith and his team We'll remove countertops and closets so that the equipment can go, from wall to wall. We'll leave the teacher station at the front of the room so there can still be instruction and those type of things. Then we'll have a separate purchase order to put down flooring prior to the equipment going in. The goal will be to install equipment over Christmas break with fingers crossed that we can start the second semester with the class in the high school, so the weightlifting class isn't walking out in the middle of the
What if sure be beneficial? The time saving
The
factor will be very
number of
beneficial.
kids signing up for advanced PE has skyrocketed. So there is a definite desire and need for this.
In-house, it'll be very beneficial. Okay, thank you for the insight.
So moved.
Been moved by Mr. Smeltzer. Would there be a second? Second by Mrs. Johns. Discussion. The discussion from the question from Mrs. Roberts for the roll call, please.
Mr. Smeltzer?
Yes.
Mrs. Johns? Yes. Mr. Hoffman?
Yes.
Mr. Kimmer?
Yes. Motion passed unanimous. 5.8, contracts. Motion to contracts, special education. Motion to approve the contracts for student placement and special services, special ed services as presented.
This is specifically for one student, which we've obviously put that in public content that's not public just because of having student meetings. This is two separate contracts for one student, just an agreement and then a contract. A little bit of a different situation than we've had in the past. So wanted to make sure we brought that to the board just for your attention and for approval, just due to the cost of both items. We do know going into this that later on in the year we will have some then and nows to bring to the board just due to the timing of the agreement and when services started. So when I call that, we already know, but we will not bring that to the board until we receive invoices. That's what officially triggers that. So we can answer any questions, obviously with the student names.
Yeah. All board members have those two attachments in front of them. Questions, thoughts after looking at the attachments for Mr. Belleville or Mrs. Roberts? Not, I'd entertain a motion to approve contracts for the student placement special ed services as presented.
So moved.
Been moved by Mr. Hoffman. I'll second that. Discussion. No discussion from the question from Mrs. Roberts for the roll call. Board members, please.
Mr. Hoffman?
Yes.
Mr. Kimmer?
Yes.
Mrs. Johns? Yes. Mr. Smeltzer?
Yes.
Motion passed unanimous. 5.9, October 2025 5-year forecast. There's a motion to approve that October 2025 5-year forecast assumptions and notes. Turn to Mrs. Roberts.
Okay, thank you for listening to this evening. Obviously, this is a bit different timing than everybody is used to. Just to call out, this is the forecast that is typically presented in November. With this year's budget and with new legislation, that the forecast is actually now due October 15th this year. However, due to the timing of our board meetings, it's October 20th, we're presenting this now. So we're one of, we're a bit early in this, but I think at this point we have all the guidance and feel confident in the forecast. But you will notice, just I want to call out some of those time changes because it may seem a little early. Our next forecast will actually be in February versus May, and then go forward, it will be August and February. So just shifting some time periods a little bit. So this is the fall forecast that is traditionally in November. This is obviously a large report, so I'd like to do this a little, I don't think we need to walk through every single page, but I would like to call your attention to a few things. So what we'd like to do is if you actually start at the end, so start on page 23, that's the actual forecast itself. So I can walk you through line item by line item. I am going to be flipping my pages, so if you have any additional questions, there's graphs, there's notes, there's information for each of the line items. I'm going to call out the highlights and really where we see things that have changed since last forecast or just changes with this new legislation. But I do not think at this point that we need to walk through, all 20-some pages of this. The other thing I wanted to call out is that there's actually some different guidance this year in what we have to turn into the state. So in the past, I have just had to turn in basically our numerical forecast and then this forecast, which is considered the notes. This forecast, we are also now required to turn in our appropriations as part of the forecast. We do think that this is going to change a little bit between now and our next forecast and next year. However, we are receiving guidance to go ahead and start to get in that practice so that way by the time the state starts collecting the information, we are already in practice. So you will notice in the agenda this evening, I have the forecast and then I have appropriations attached as well. And then also in the next board item, 5.10, you'll see appropriations again. If you recall, you actually approved appropriations last board meeting. However, since that board meeting, guidance is now that typically appropriations are slightly higher than forecast. The only thing that is changing in these appropriations that we're going through is our appropriations for general fund, which now match down to the dollar exactly to our forecast. So typically we may appropriate slightly higher because the forecast is used as a budgeting tool and what the board is approving. The change in this is that they now match down to the dollar for general fund. So a little bit of a change there. It probably is going to seem a little bit repetitive from last board meeting, but just something that, is that how we're going to look at that go forward. I do anticipate that to be the case go forward because we have to approve appropriations by the end of September and then go forward with actually no, I take that back. It'll be in August that we do the forecast. So a lot of changes going on with timing and what we turn in. So I did want to call it out because I realized it seems a bit repetitive, but just it's a new forecast strategy out there. Mm-hmm. Any questions on that before I jump in? Okay, so starting on page 23, just to kind of orient everybody where we ended fiscal 25. We started the fiscal year at a little over 17 million at 17.5. We ended our fiscal year last year at 7.6 million. If you recall, we had a very large transfer before the end of the year. So in total for the year, we transferred $14.8 million. The majority of that was going into our capital funds. We did that, we had a lot of discussions around that. At one point there was some discussion about cap and what money we could hold within our general fund. That was why we saw that large transfer. So I just kind of wanted to remind us that that's where that was coming from. So that's where we started our year. So starting fiscal 26 at $7.6 million. Overall, I'm going to walk through, at a high level, I'll walk through revenue and I'll walk through each line and then I'll walk through expenses. Overall, revenue in the past has averaged an overall increase of 5.7%. You'll notice that this revenue is only increasing by about a little over 1% this year. It is due to our biggest change in state funding, which I'll get into those details, but that's the line item that is changing the most as we go forward. Line 1.01 is our property taxes. In the past, we have changed at about 8% a year. We are projecting to change at about 3% a year. We are seeing some of those increases in revenue that we are receiving from our property taxes start to come down. So while it is still increasing, before we were seeing large swings. We were seeing anywhere from an 18 to a 23 to a 7, and it was all over the board. We are starting to see that somewhat streamline. So you will see that over the next few years, that revenue, while still increasing, we are not seeing as large of increases year in, year out. Moving to line 1.02. This is the one that's our PUP taxes. We have been talking over the last few years. We have two pipelines that go through the district, Leach and Rockies. Over the last few years, Rockies has been going through just some questioning on the value increases of the pipeline. We did have a large delinquent payment from the pipeline last year of over $200,000. So while you look at this year, it looks like we're coming down, and I know I mentioned this in last board meeting, that's just due to that one-time payment. Now what we're doing is we are seeing our PUP values come back down to about 2024 levels. So we will continue to increase, but the increases are much smaller and much more in line with where we have seen in history. So just watching that. So while it looks like we dropped off, it's really just due to that one-time payment overall. Line 1.03, school district income tax. We are seeing an increase of about 3.5% this year. Recent history, we have been anywhere from up 18% to up 1%. So again, over the last few years, we have seen a roller coaster of the increases that we are seeing. I am projecting a 3.5% increase so far this year. The state is averaging about a 5 to 6% in total increase. So we're pretty much in line with the state. I am hoping this picks up, over our next few quarters. Because as of right now, we're a little under the state, but we're somewhat in line with it. However, just with looking at where we've been in the past, ranging from the 18 to 1, we're on that lower end, but still seeing an increase. The next two lines are our state funding. This has obviously been where we have had a lot of discussions. Mr. Belleville and I have been through, several meetings after meeting after meeting and discussions. State funding has been something that has been one of the hardest things to predict in the last few years. So basically what you can see happen is that there's two pieces of it, unrestricted and restricted. I'm going to speak to unrestricted first. This is the funding that we get overall that goes to just running the school. Basically, we are, over the last 6 years, our enrollment has varied drastically. This is one of the things right now that the state is giving us funding based on the number of students who are enrolled in our district. It's one of the things right now that can increase or decrease how much money we are getting per student from the state. As we look at it, so in the past, we have received about $3,800 from the state share of this per pupil. Over the next few years, that we are projecting that to actually decrease by 19%. We will only be receiving about almost $3,100. So per student, we are losing about $700 per student. I mentioned enrollment. So over the last 6 years, our enrollment has varied. The biggest shift was actually in last year's kindergarten class. If you remember, that was a very small class. So obviously that drove our total district enrollment down. Happy to say that the kindergarten class this year is right back to where it should be. We have 160 students currently enrolled in kindergarten. One of the things that we look at as we try to project enrollment go forward is an enrollment to live birth ratio. And what that means is how many students are enrolling in our kindergarten classes versus how many students were born essentially 5 years ago. So the time shifts. We have traditionally seen enrollment over live births due to open enrollment within our district. Last year was interesting. We only saw about a 96%, meaning we weren't enrolling 100% of the students who were born within our area. However, we have seen it as high as 149%, just within recent history. So this year, it's actually at 146%. I'm projecting it at 128% go forward. So right in the middle, we are looking at where we think that open enrollment will continue. Not projecting it quite as high as that 146 or 149 because those are some of the outliers, but are really looking at, where our average has been. I will say this forecast is based on educating 1,900 students. Right now we're sitting at about 1,912. I know EMIS and Christy Smith are really working every day with the high school and working with all of our buildings. This is the time of year that we are seeing maybe some students who have enrolled and then continually either transfer or do not show up. So that's why we're slightly conservative at the 1,900, so that could go up slightly. EMIS right now is reporting 1,912, so we're working, hand in hand every day. So that hopefully that could go up a little bit. That's just under about $50,000 of state funding that we could increase. Let's see, what else do I want to point out here? Oh, one of the other pieces that we are receiving in this unrestricted funding is we are receiving $111,000 per year from the state due to receiving 4.5 stars on our grade card, on the report card. So really, really happy, over the 5 years. Obviously, that can change as funding formulas change and with anything that goes to say, but right now we are receiving $111,000 for the report card. Any questions on the enrollment piece? Because that is one piece that is, there's a lot of moving parts to it. There's a lot of, really looking at kindergarten, looking at live birth, looking at where we see open enrollment coming into the district. There's a lot of moving pieces on that. Very good. Okay. The next piece is the restricted funding. This is basically funding that we receive from the state, but there are restricted uses that we can use this for. Last school year was the first year that we started participating in the CEP program, where we fed all of our students breakfast and lunch for free. When we do that, what that does is that triggers one piece of the equation with the state to say that 100% of our students are economically disadvantaged. At the same time, when we do that, that also brings in more funding for the district. We are projecting that it's a 4-year commitment to the program. From fiscal 25, so starting last year through fiscal 28, that brought an increase of $4.3 million into the district. That being said, starting with this year, the state is actually now looking at a weighted ratio of students who are considered economically disadvantaged from this program compared to students who are directly certified as economically disadvantaged, so they don't even have to apply. It's a 75-25 ratio right now. This is where, when I said our state funding is starting to go down, this is where we're starting to see it. So while we're still at an increased funding level compared to having not done CEP, because we are now seeing that weighted ratio, that is starting to go down year over year. So while in total we're up 4.3, had we not done that percentage is coming down. So for example, last year we were considered to be 99% economically disadvantaged. This year we're at 82%. Next year we're projected at 76%. The state is around 55%, and what it does is the further you are from the state, you receive more funding. So as we are closer to the state, that additional funding starts to dwindle. Okay, we're going to skip over the next few lines because they're pretty small. Line 1.06, other operating revenue. The big driver here is our income on investments. We did expect that to come down slightly this year. We're still holding our own, but we are projecting that to be pretty flat over the next year. Just with the unknowns in the market, we are not anticipating any big swings, any big increases on those investments. But really holding our investment levels and just making, we talk all the time about making that cash work for us. Okay, that's everything for revenue. So we basically have, we have a few large pieces of the equation. We have the state funding, we have property taxes, PUP taxes, and state income tax. So overall, still increasing, but increasing, at a lower level and starting to see that drop off just within the state share of the per student funding going from $3,800 to $3,097 by the time we get to 23. All right.
The pup tax, obviously, Rockies is caught up on the delinquent payment, and from looking at 2026, 27 and beyond, there's no more payments that will be made. They have been caught up, and there's, and then with that going through the school district, this is ongoing. Like I said, there's no deadline. I mean, it will always be that.
Yeah, so we will continue